Yeah, hello guys. Good evening, good day, and happy Sunday to all of us. Welcome to today's show, our interactive solution time we interact to look at issues and try to unravel some mysteries and some myths around certain topics and issues that surround us. In today's topic, we'll be looking at happiness and money. Do you need one to have the other? And with me, as always, are the people you know too well, and they will try to brainstorm and bring solutions where there are confusion, light where there is darkness. And while we're doing that, I hope you guys will be chiming in with your questions, with your contributions. That will go a long way to make this talk show worthwhile. It's not just a one-way thing. We're talking to you, and at the same time, we expect you to talk to us too. So I'll be bringing in my resource persons as they come online, and once they are online, we hope to get cracking. I have Mr. Nadi on, and for the other eggheads to join us. So, like I said, we are looking at happiness and money. Mr. Nadi, you're welcome.
Hello, T.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. I hear you loud and clear.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. So while we're waiting for Chidozie and Mike to join us, I think uh, they said it's a first come first served. I think we get cracking. Yeah, we get cracking with it. So you already know well what the topic is all about. And before we go on that, okay, Chidozie is on. I
Yeah, okay.
really Chidozie and Mike, they are coming in almost simultaneously. So I'll bring them on while we set the ground norms for this. Hello, Mike. It's good to have you.
Yes, bro. How you doing?
Yeah,
Simon
you've
B.
been uh, you've been uh, you've been our wolf for some time, and
All right.
many
Yeah.
Huh?
many people were asking after you,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
it's good to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys as well. Sam, you all
Yeah,
right?
All right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How was the outing?
Yeah, it was good, family and everything, beach,
Ah,
nice, nice. Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
one. Beach.
yeah,
That's what we
yeah.
don't get here.
I know for
We don't
sure.
get we don't get at this season.
No, they get the beach here, but it's cold, It's the water's still cold, but at least at
It's,
home is nice and warm,
it's quite
So
nice warm. Yeah,
it's,
that's him.
Sando, you all right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Chedozie,
Mm.
you're welcome. Yeah, I'm good. Chedozie,
Yeah,
you're welcome.
yeah. Hello, guys.
Well,
Yeah,
how,
Nice to see you on board again.
Yes,
yeah.
Chidozie, how you doing, brother? Nice to see you too, man.
Yeah,
long
I'm
them
fine.
fella?
It's good
Get him, sir.
Take them,
it's good
Papa.
having the whole crew in place, and I think today is going to be a cracker. But then again, I would want us to, if we can, as much as we possibly can, keep this under 1 hour and give
Yeah,
every question the punchy response it can elicit, so that
Yeah.
the audience will will go home not having anything. We are going to leave everything here on the podcast. Nothing is going with us.
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
So I urge you to please do justice to that, and timely so. So I appeal up to guys to try to make it. We'll try to wrap it under 1 hour.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So
Cool.
Mike, you're just coming fresh from your holiday, and I know that you came in with your tank full. So can you possibly address the question, please?
Yeah, I mean,
Happiness and money, do you need one to have the other?
yeah, like most of the questions that we speak about, the topics, they all seem very like straightforward. Like, you know what, like that's like child's play, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
when you look at it and break it down, you look at happiness, then you obviously you got to look at like what is your definition of happiness is what really is the beginning of the whole concept. I mean, the whole money aspect of it, you know, we will tie it in, but you know, because happiness is the question is happiness a state or is happiness a mood? You know, and you know, when I say as a state, is because a state it speaks towards something that is when I say permanent. I mean, you know, it's stable. A state is a
Yeah.
stable. I mean, of course, you can have any state, but I mean, you can have an unhappy state, you could have a depressed state, you could have a happy state. But whatever that state is something speaking towards something a bit more, you know, like stable and consistent, you know.
Yeah.
And a mood is something that is a bit more fickle, like the wind, it can change, right? And you can definitely be a happy person that faces struggles and faces challenges that make you angry or may make you anxious or make you afraid or sad, but your state is still, you might still be a happy person. And again, when you look at happiness, it's like, what is that? What does that look like? Is basically what I'm getting at. How can I look at Chidozie or you or Sam and say that you are happy? Chidozie might be smiling, but he might not be happy,
Yeah.
right? And and
But
you
I
know,
am happy.
I know, no, no,
No, no,
I know you're not gonna let me get away with anything
I,
at all,
I,
right? But
I know
y-
what you mean. I know what you mean.
yeah,
No
yeah.
problem.
So happiness, I think, for me, is something that is within the body and not just within the mind. It's something to there's a harmony and an equilibrium that that speaks towards happiness. And obviously, when we are kids, and even now, when you say the word happy, the first thing that comes to my mind instantly is a big smile. But
Yeah.
that's not actually true. You know, you do not have to have a big smile on your face to be happy. You could be an extremely at peace and balanced and feeling in harmonious, standing, walking, sitting, sleeping, whatever, and not be smiling, look actually quite serene, maybe even quite serious, and focused, but still you could be what people say, I am in my happy place, right? And
Yeah.
again, and the reason why they say I'm in my happy place is because they're talking about the body. They're talking about a state in which their body and their mind, but not just the mind, because the mind, when they're in their happy place, I will argue that the mind is completely more than likely at rest, right? But the body is doing an action that is speaks towards their comfort and their truth and their, you know, that gets their chemicals and their inner state into a way that it just flows, right? So
Mm.
happiness for me, there's a flow, there's a harmony, and there's an equilibrium that comes with happiness. Now, just to address briefly the whole money aspect, because I don't want to be long with it. Um, the thing about money, as we all know, is that is money is a value, okay? And this value in and of itself doesn't actually mean anything in and of itself. And that's why you have situations where you have economies that crash, like certain parts of the Soviet Union that crashed years ago. You know, before the whole, you know, any communist state crashed, and they had you heard stories about people with a whole mattress stuffed with money, with rubles or whatever it was. But yet still they had to line up for bread and food because the money was worthless. It didn't mean anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So money in itself is just a value on a commodity, and it's agreed upon. We all agree that this paper, that this numbers on the screen or whatever it is, this piece of plastic in your pocket, it means something, right? And even though, you know, people who are struggling for survival, you know, that money is essential for their actual existence, for their survival, whether they eat or don't eat, you know, where they sleep. And I understand that you don't expect those people to be happy or to be in a happy state because they're in an anxious, fearful, survival mode, you know. But
Yeah.
that is not even that state. I'm struggling for survival is a state where the individual can get used to that, right? They can get used to that struggle, and all of a sudden, what would cause me or you to be stressed because all we have is 10 pounds. That person, after a while, may adjust and realize that, you know what, I can make this 10 pounds work for me. And then the anxiety levels start to drop because the way in which they have found a way, or their bodies have found a way to go back towards that happiness. And I say happiness in inverted commas because, again, I'm speaking towards more an equilibrium and more a harmony, because that's what our body wants. Like water, it wants to be in it wants a balanced state. So
Yeah.
you can't maintain that level of fear and anxiety all the time. It will fall. You will sit back even in the hardest times and just kind of start to daydream or fall asleep or just actually even forget. The body puts it off. The body goes into a different level of survival and says, look, your levels of cortisol in your body and stress hormones are so high that, you know what, we need to switch you off. We need to make you let this go. And then from that point, you start to open up and start to create you start to get creative and find ways to handle this struggle for survival and this need for money. And you will find that the people who suffer because of lack of money is not just the lack of money that they are struggling and suffering from, but they are suffering from um, being in a sort of what you call a scarcity mindset. They already feel and believe that this money is the answer. But what really is the answer is the way they react to struggles, the way they react to challenges, not necessarily the money itself. Okay. So
Mm.
anyway, that's just my introduction,
Thank
and
you.
then I'll hand it off there, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nadi, I want to start off with you with this question. You were supposed to have taken the first shot, but Mike came in and realizing that he came in, from the vacation, it was really important to pick his brain. Mr. Nadi, can money buy happiness? Can money buy happiness?
Well, it's just to mention something. Just to let you guys know, anyways. Today is my wife's birthday, so I'm
Yeah.
actually in
Happy birthday.
the celebration mood. Although I unfortunately for me, I'm not in London. I mean,
Yeah.
I went to Scotland, so I'm not there to celebrate with her. But I'm just gonna give a shout out to her as well.
Yeah, happy
A
birthday.
shout out to you, Angel Ife. A shout out to you. Happy birthday. And
Yeah,
may the occasion of this birthday provide you with the answers that you seek. Happy birthday from
thank you,
all of us here.
Ted. Thank you, T.
Yeah.
Well, just like our brother Mike just mentioned. In my view, I think money is just a tool. If it takes whatever position we place it in our daily lives, um, the value of money is basically determined on how the person, a human, is calibrated. How you are calibrated defines what the value of money in your life or in your everyday activities, what makes you happy and what doesn't really. So in the concept of the human agent, how human agents works, how the logic around money works, or human happiness, how human derives happiness. In my personal view, in my own analysis, I will use an algorithm of your happiness is a determinant of what your expectations, your situation, what your situation is, equal or greater than your life expectancy. If your situation, if you're in a given situation, it is now equal to what you're expecting, that defines the level of your happiness. If, let's assume you don't have a wealthy family, you're not from a very influential family or wealthy family to say, and you start expecting to be the president of Nigeria, regardless of how much way you think about it, there is obviously no way you're going to be happy. If you don't have $1,000 in your pocket, that is your situation, and you're expecting to buy a private jet, there is absolutely no way you will definitely be happy. So this is the way these things work. So it's all about how a man is actually calibrated, how the way your human agent works, how you make your choices on things that is within your cycle, and how those things that within your cycle defines your daily lives, your emotional budgets and all of that. So it's important. It's important, and I will say more anyways. I don't want to go too far. So, but in my view, my literal view, I think money can be a factor to people's happiness, but it's not actually the key factor to happiness. Happiness, in my personal view, is internally controlled. It's the way you have actually calibrated yourself, the way you have configured yourself around your situation that defines whether you're going to be happy or not. If you overstretch yourself, if you're overestimating yourself, there is absolutely no way, even if they bring the whole money in this world to put to your, to your coffee or something, there is absolutely no way. That's the reason why you see people, they are multimillionaire. And there has been some, and this conversation is a very relevant conversation that's been going on for ages. And there's been researches and there have been a lot of analysis on that. And there's one analysis there was one research I was reading the other day, that a certain level that you get to in your life, once you're that level of your accumulation of wealth, is not to meet your daily needs. I think it's Kahaman research. He said once you are over the limit of $75,000, happiness ceases to define. I mean, money ceases to define the narrative of your happiness or your emotions. So let me just allow our brother JDZ to crack on from there, because I think we are doing it a bit shorter, isn't it? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Nadi. Chedozie, I want to ask you a question.
Can I comment? Anyway,
I want to ask you. You can also say whatever you want to say with the question I'm going to ask you. It's a reversal. But meanwhile, Mr. Kingsley has said, yes, money can buy happiness for a poor person. This liberating feeling, I was not thinking about where your 3 square meals will come from in heavenly. Also, not thinking about bills, live stress. You also get more respect from family and peers. However, money doesn't guarantee happiness. And he said even billionaires have stressors that impact on their everyday lives. So my question now, against the backdrop of what he just said, is can being happy make you have money? Now we ask if money can buy you happiness. Now, can being happy make you have money?
well, anyway, good evening all, and let me start by saying happy birthday to our dear wife and of our brother Samuel. And it's also good to know that God is going to grant her all her heart's desires and then grant her long life and prosperity.
Amen.
I don't know how it happened, but you can see how things correlate, you know. Our son also has a birthday today. You can imagine.
Wow.
Ah,
Happy birthday, son.
congratulations.
Happy birthday,
Congratulations
son.
from all of us. Yeah.
So you can see
Happy birthday.
how the thing goes. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
normally what goes around comes around, but people never know how it works, you know.
Mhm.
I think can being happy make you have money. I want to comment on Mike's point of view and also comment on Sammy's point of view, so I can just relate to the question. If we think about the relationship, I don't see myself anymore. Before, I was seeing myself. When I talk, I can see myself. I don't see myself anymore. Can any of you see me?
Nah, it's all
I can
it's all blank today.
I
Okay.
can see you. Yeah, I can see you. Yeah.
Okay. You can see me.
Yeah.
Mike, can you
Oh,
see me as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
how did it
right.
happen?
Yeah,
I,
What kind of phone are you
Chidoze
using, Mike?
always wearing orange. Yeah, Chidoze, that's his color is orange.
no,
But
no, no. It's not always, but,
no, but I don't
anyway.
mean it in a bad ways, So anyhow, you. I always can see y'all guys. Nothing had changed to me. Every time we talk, I can see y'all, but for some reason, yeah,
Yeah,
y'all don't see each other.
but
But yeah, go ahead, brother.
I think this is part of African factor.
no, the thing when we started, I was seeing myself, but suddenly something shaked, and I didn't see myself anymore. So
Okay.
what I'm saying is that in relation to what our brother Mike was saying, I think we don't want happiness to be in the form of mood. We want happiness to be in the form of state, because mood is ephemeral. It comes in a transient form, in that the happiness appears and disappears. A more fleeting moment. That's something that you get to see, then you don't see it anymore. But if it is a state, if it becomes a state affair, then it becomes something more enduring, and that is why we should push for happiness as a state, and not happiness as a mood, because everything about achieving the kind of happiness that becomes a state is something that's going to be relevant to improving whatever we're going to do in our life, and it's going to give us even enduring more happiness and even that enduring state. So in that aspect, I think we can see, or let's see, or begin to think about the relationship between money and happiness. Sometimes I want to talk about, I want to refer to what we have talked about, spirituality. Sometimes it can be spiritual, sometimes it can be psychological, sometimes it can be philosophical, and sometimes it can be complicated. We all agree that basic financial freedom is a necessity for human dignity, and because poverty will always crush our spirit, poverty will always give us depression. We don't want poverty. We want money to solve our problems, like renting a house, like getting health care, like food, buying food. We don't want to start starving because we want to eat something and we don't have money to buy that thing. Nobody will be happy about that. We also want to feel like we want to have good experiences about getting education, the kind of education, because somebody who wants to go to Harvard knows that Harvard is not for free, and you need to pay for Harvard, and you need to also pay for other universities around Europe, America, and all over the world. So it costs money to have that kind of good experience. So we want good experience. We want to travel. I'm not sure that anybody want to buy a ticket, and anybody wants to buy a ticket and open any online thing and get the ticket for free. No, we still want money to buy these things and travel and know other cultures and begin to learn them, so that we can know how the world works. So money and happiness, they're kind of related, but they're not the same. Money can provide that thing you were Sammy was talking about. Money can provide or buy a fleeting happiness, but not enduring happiness. Sometimes we can ask ourselves, what actually do we want? Do we want a kind of happiness that will be too short-lived, or do we want a kind of happiness that will be long-term? I will go for long-term happiness, and in that aspect, we'll be looking at happiness in the sense of something that we collectively achieve. I want to distinguish in this particular place or particular time between collective money and artificial money. Artificial money is more individualistic, and collective money is more collective, more unifying. That when we work hard and when we work as a society for collective money, it comes to that enduring happiness we were talking about, in the sense that when somebody is working to make their society prosper, their society flourish, the person is making their society flourish in such a way that everybody will have their basic needs. Just like we're experiencing in the Western world today, that somebody who does cleaning is happy at the end of the month. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah.
Somebody who works as somebody who is delivering food is happy by the end of the month. A medical doctor is happy by the end of the month. A lawyer is happy by the end of the month. And a judge is happy by the end of the month. It's not as if they're all earning the same thing, but it's because some individuals have worked for this collective money. Now, in the other side of artificial money, whereby we create something to favor a few, that is what a lot of the society are experiencing today. And those people, they don't care about the collective money. They just care about what will satisfy them, and they keep distributing the money within those small circle. And that means that whatever happiness they're going to experience is always going to be fleeting, because they're not looking at happiness as enduring form, as a state form, but they're looking at happiness as a mood form, which means that they are always going to be selfish and always going to be prone to aggrandizement and all sorts of embezzlement to satisfy their needs. In the end, they are, if you look at how their children or generation normally handles this world, you will always see the gap of what they have done, because some things may have gone wrong in acquiring this wealth. But if you look at the Western society, where you see individuals focusing on how do we make society better so that it will be better for everybody in the form of enduring happiness, then everybody's focused on, we want this society to be happiness, we want to be transparent, and we fall back again to ethical principles we've been talking about earlier. We want enduring happiness. We want something that we want leadership that has to be accountable. This is all form of happiness, because happiness is not just something that is achieved in a vacuum. No, all of those things contribute to happiness. If I come to London, we want a train that is walking from London to America, to Germany, from London to France. We don't want to give contract to people who are just going to mismanage this contract, because we want happiness for all, a collective happiness. We want to give contract to road constructors that will give us a mandate that they're going to construct a road that will last them from 10, 15 years, and then give us a kind of contract that will satisfy us and make us feel that this road will last for 15 or 20 years. We are creating happiness for everybody. And then in that sense, can being happy make you have money? Well, it depends on whether we are looking at money as the standard for judging somebody in the society, just like normally what we do back home, that everything about money is what we worship. We don't want to think about whoever is good or whoever is trying to do good for society. We don't care about that anymore. We just care about wherever somebody comes from money. And that's why if you go to Indonesia and if you go to different countries around the world, you will see that some particular people are languishing inside the prison, all because they are trying to get that money by any means, whether they are happy or not. But being happy doesn't necessarily need to make you have money, because money is not the end. The end is about what we're able to achieve for the society that is sustainable, because the state happiness is sustainable and the mood happiness is not sustainable. If we are able to achieve a sustainable thing for society, it means that at that particular point we are happy, and then as well as feeling that we have money, because what we have achieved is for everybody, not just for an individual. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
Well said. Thank you
Bro.
very much. Mike, you were describing happiness as a state. Am I right?
Yeah.
Mike?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah.
Now, in other words, at that state, some other things would have influenced that state of happiness, like experiences and all, every other thing must have come into play,
Mm.
and not actually material possession.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You
so,
go on. Yeah.
so, do you think that the state of our state of happiness can also, shift when some of these experiences and other things that are outside of money shift?
Yeah. I mean, this is a challenge of life. The that's why people could look at and different analogies of life in many many different ways. I use the water analogy a lot, and that we are like water, because what water really wants to do is to reach a state of balance. Water doesn't want to, there's no, they don't want, if the when the tide is high, everything is high. When the tide is low, everything is low. There's balance all the time, and that's what water wants. And even like, people use scales as well, as an analogy of life, the scales of life, this balancing. And when something is in imbalance, your desire is to create that balance. And I think what I was trying to get at in what I was saying as well is that that balance is equal to happiness, to a state of happiness. And that's why it's important to understand and to think about, what is happiness? What does it look like for you, or what does it look like? Chidoze was talking about this sort of kind of social and global happiness, where you have individuals who are so aware and heightened that they realize that what their function is not just to work for themselves, it's actually they're working for the community and for the society. And that is the right way, I would say, a correct way. I don't think, if more people were in that state that Chidoze is referring to, then there'd be a lot less conflict, less dissatisfaction and frustration and jealousy and resentment in society. I don't think many people actually live in that state that Chidoze was pointing towards. But what he is saying, that is the way that society is supposed to exist. We're supposed to be working and realizing that, if, as you say, if you're a cleaner and you go to work, or you're a food delivery guy, or you're a lawyer or a CEO, it wouldn't really matter, because at the end of the month, whatever, when you get this thing that you're getting is going to be put back into the society anyway. It's not like you're going to just keep it or put it in your pocket or put it in a glass case and look at it. It's going to get put back in to the roads, to the hospital care, to the supermarkets, to the stock markets. You know what I mean? So it is a beautiful way to look at it, but I don't think that and many people even sort of realize that, and that's why happiness and loneliness and is such a challenge, and depression is such uh, and yeah, like I said, and loneliness is such a big a big challenge to overcome. And as to speak to what you were saying in terms of the shifting states, and the reason why I brought in the scales and the balance is because, yes, the way that life is is created is that there will always be shifting states. That is what causes creation. You speak about the end of a particular era of the dinosaurs, or different eras where they had eruptions and tsunamis, and the earth itself opened up and changed, even in the creation of cells in the body, when men and women get together, and they the and you start as a tiny little egg, and then look at us now. You know what I mean? So this changing state, and that's why it's really important to really get down to the basics. And that's what we do really well here. We really get down to the basics, and it's to show people and to show ourselves and to remind ourselves that just these challenges that will occur, that must occur, they must occur. It's not something, oh, poor me, this happening to me. It's not happening to you. It is a happening. And it is a happening that is challenging you, and to make you stronger. And if you feel a bit down sometimes, a bit angry and frustrated, and you don't understand why these things are happening to challenge your state, well, when you really start to open up and look at the world and the society and the balance of life, then you'll understand that all these things that challenge your state, they have to happen, and it is to make you stronger, and it is to help you to regain that balance, so that other people, when they see the way that you gracefully, as Sam was saying, the way that you sort of gracefully accept these challenges in the best way possible, that you can, yeah, lead by example and show people, well, look, yes, it's a challenge that these things happen. I mean, we see disaster all the time on the hurricanes that go through Florida every single year and decimate people's homes, and how they have to rebuild again, and then, so this whole, even if you're looking at somebody and you question, I mean, you wouldn't really question their state, whether, I mean, are you happy that you lost your home and everything that you, of course they're not. But they those individuals and that society. And it's always a beautiful story to see how the society, United Nations, the rest of the world start to pitch in, and they start to help, because everybody wants what Chidoze was talking about. Everybody wants that's the society to get to that place where we can receive and give back, and continue that beautiful balance. So yeah, to answer your question, that the challenges that come to your state, recognizing that they will come, they have to come, and it's how you see those challenges, how you understand those challenges, and how you overcome them, that gives you that grace, and that gives you those moments of happiness, or at least those moments of those insights of clarity and understanding, even when you may be at the grave site of your loved ones, and feeling that pain of loss. In that moment, you're not happy, but you may be able to get a moment of clarity, and you understand and accept that they had to go in order for, not in order for others to come, but they had to go, and others will come, and you will go, and others will come. And again, we're speaking back towards that balance. So the challenges to your state of happiness or peace or joy, or whatever you want to call, or freedom, or whatever you want to call it, those challenges will come. But we will, as we understand and more of our role in this life, then we'll be able to handle it more and more, gracefully.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Mr. Nadi, I want to ask you this against the backdrop of what you said about, you said something about $75,000. Is it $75,000 a year or $75,000 a month? That's a huge amount of money, though. So, if that be the case, does that mean that in a case of diminishing returns, in a case where there's something happens and the income or the money you talked about starts to depreciate, does that bring in a corresponding diminishing returns on your happiness?
Well, I was referring to a study in America that stipulated that once you get to that level, once you earn above £75,000, $75,000, is no longer effective to your emotional budget or something. The point I was trying to refer on that is just to clarify us not commodifying this concept of happiness. Happiness is not a commodity that you can go about to buy in the market, and this essentially what have built up to this social condition that we experiencing. I think our brother Omar Salah just highlighted it in his own comments. The influence that is actually literally going on in the society where we're coming from, where we somehow we commodify respect, dignity, happiness. We make all of these things a commodity that we can buy in the market. We feel like once you have enough money, once you have so much money, it automatically means that you're happy. But the point is, this does not reflect reality, because you can see that the more these people make this money, the more they quest for more, the more they even go the lowest do shameful things to acquire even more. So it means that they have not actually reached that goal. It means they are still in the quest of they are still going towards the same journey. And that actually gives you that concept that sometimes if we misconstrue this idea, it becomes a golden handcuff that we have an excellent where we have a situation where we are actually pursuing money to secure ourselves, and the more we go for this journey, the more we are insecure. The more we want free, the more we assume that money will give us freedom, the more we are stuck as slaves at work. So it's an irony. It's an ironical concept. But my point is that there is this other a study in Harvard that indicated the main sources where people should portion or kind of device where have been proven that these things are the things that derives more of happiness. These are the things that have more of a foundations to happiness. Things like your relationship, the family relationship, because you could be a billionaire, but obviously we've seen what is rampant on the news. Like you've seen all these billionaires, Bill Gates, and all of that. You find out how they are struggling in their relationship. But like what I've just said before, I've just if I repeat what I've just said before, I'm more like it's all about being able to evaluate your situation, the situation you are in. If you're actually looking for true happiness, if you're looking for what will actually make you happy, because just like Michael mentioned, it is actually a state, the way you have defined yourself, the way you have calibrated yourself, the way you have what you have placed before you. If you have placed happiness, that your happiness will be when you have money. Then the big question will become how much money, because obviously money is a long trade. So you can have $1 billion and you're still not happy. You still not have money. So just to wrap up what I'm saying is for us not to build a false conscience over something that that you cannot attain. If we place money as a commodity, if we place money as a commodity, which is essentially what I've mentioned before, which is what is actually happening in the place where we're coming from, where we have actually placed the money. That money is the basics of what makes people either happy or unhappy. But that is not actually the truth. The truth is not that it wasn't that money, but it is the value, the way we have been calibrated to think that if you don't have money, if you don't have these basic needs, if you don't have, but actually the basic needs is actually when you achieve those things that will make you happy. And I don't know if I'm making sense, but let me just explain a little bit what I'm trying to explain. It's like when people take away the main portent of what money what the importance of money. They seems to put in chase of money, but not actually knowing the main content that is embedded in this money itself, because that money itself is actually a reward for a certain exchange for something that you actually contributed. That money is not just the paper that you share in your Ghana Must Goes and all of that. Money is actually a reward to a certain job or a certain services that you have offered to somebody else. So instead of us, embedding this concept that for you to earn this money, the joy of actually earning the money itself is actually the labor or the effort that you have added towards receiving this money instead. So the main idea have been actually misconstrued. They have been taken away from the reality, from the main content of it. So the same thing is applicable to this concept of money and happiness. People tend to feel like, if I have money, I am happy. But money itself should be a way, is something that supplies your basic needs, which is to pay, like our brother Chidize have just mentioned, to pay your house rent, to pay your electricity bill. When you have done all of these things, this is where that joy comes in. This is where that happiness comes in. Not when you have accumulated so much, and that is part of the idea I've just raised about the 75,000. That once you have gotten to that threshold, that you are able to satisfy or to kind of what do I call it? I use the word satisfy your basic needs, provide your basic needs. The more you are adding to that one is not necessarily adding to the happiness. So I don't want to speak too much anyways. I think
Thank you. I think I get what you mean. At a certain level, it's not functionally that money is bringing in more happiness, and I was going to take it from there to Chidozie about you said something about where everybody is happy, where a certain basic level of infrastructure are in place, people become happy, generally happy. But where individuals, different persons accumulate this money for their selfish things, it does not really add to the level of happiness they have. So I want to ask you now, living for others, does that kind of affect happiness, bring happiness, against the context, against the background of what you just said about you said something about artificial money and then
collective
something
money.
what?
Collective money.
Collective
money and
money.
artificial money.
So collective money in that sense is what I understand is that where you now deploy money or resources for the good of all. So does that is that the thing that you think brings happiness rather than the artificial money that you talked about?
Well, thank you, brothers. I mean, it's just a wonderful question that you've asked. I think that collective money, from the perspective I was coming from, brings more happiness than artificial money, because artificial money is just endless. It's all about endless acquisition of that money and endless urge to get more. So you always think about, I want to be the highest, I want to be the best, I want to be the richest. That's what is always going to be in your mind. You don't think about, I want us to be the richest. So I want to create something that will affect everybody. And then if you look at what our brother has said, he made a lot of sense. He said a lot of important things. And also Mike was highlighting wonderful things also in relation to some amazing points Sammy was raising. One theorist once said that if you have a problem that can be solved by money, you don't actually have a problem. What does it mean? It means a lot of things can be decoded from this statement. But if you also put it in another context, can a poor man use this statement? Maybe or maybe not, because a poor man might be a little bit skeptical before using this statement. And then if we go back to the actual meaning of this statement, it means that anything that is technically about monetary solutions, anything that technically has monetary solutions is solvable. Is solvable in the sense that let's think about medical bills. Let's think about debts. Let's think about people who are hungry. And also let's acknowledge the positive impact of social media in today's world. Today, people can live in America and extend their love, because extension of this love using money as a means is also something that is affecting or impacting individuals in other parts of the world. So somebody in America, or somebody in the UK, or somebody in Canada, or somebody in Sweden, or somebody in Denmark can decide to give money to people that are going to take WAEC as an exam. Somebody can decide to buy their WAEC form. Somebody can decide to buy their JAM form. Somebody can decide to pay for hospital bills. The person might not necessarily be living in the particular place where these things are happening. But if you look at, I was reading, I think because of this thing, because of, I just said, let me look at Solomon a little bit. I think we all know the story of Solomon, the richest man in the Bible. So I wanted to know his perspective, and then I saw something that appeals to me. Solomon, who wrote Ecclesiastes 5, verse 10, was saying that whoever loves money never has enough. Why would Solomon make this statement? Solomon never asked for money. Solomon actually asked for wisdom, and then which means that the issue of money also requires some form of wisdom and understanding, humility and love to handle this thing. So if we go back to living for others, people are living for others, and then they're getting satisfaction. They are even happier than not living for others. So when somebody might have done a lot of things for people, you see some people on social media buying some stuff, going to meet some poor people, giving them a lot of things to eat. These are all sorts of ways that people get satisfaction and happiness about life, not just about the money itself. I was saying something, and then Mike tried to elaborate on it, but actually he did well on that side. But also, when you look at what I mentioned about cleaner, we all can acknowledge that a cleaner can buy. What I mean, a cleaner can buy the same, even though Elon Musk has money, but the sort of happiness these people have created, who are more developed than others, a cleaner can buy any shirt or shoe they want and feel happy. A cleaner doesn't necessarily need anybody to help, because a cleaner might be earning about 2,000, let's say 2,000, depending on the kind of work the person is putting in the month. A cleaner can earn about 1,800 pounds. A cleaner can earn about 1,700 pounds minimal. Somebody who owns a cleaning company can even earn more. And this person can also afford whatever good quality or valuable things in life that the rich ones are also affording. So that doesn't mean that we can live without money. We need money. Money doesn't bring happiness. But also, can we balance it a little bit by saying that lack of money might also destroy our peace? Because if we don't have money, how can we live? We need money to get things. So we actually need money, but we don't want money to be the dictating factor in everything we do. Because if we go to a lot of care homes, when I was leading this organization here, some of my friends, their wife, because there are two categories of people working in care homes. One is what they call domiciliary people, domiciliary workers, and the other one, from the information they were bringing always to us, is the ones there are ladies that live with a sick person here, and most of the sick people that they are living with are actually millionaires or sometimes billionaires. But at this particular stage in life, they are no longer happy. They are no longer thinking about money. They just want their health to come back, but they can't actually have their health back. And it is a transition from life to the other part of the world. And then we carry it again to our context. I don't want to mention them, but there are a couple of Nollywood actors we know that people work. If things about money could heal them, there are people who are ready to supply that money. but still they were sick. They were looking for that happiness that time. They didn't get the money. They didn't get the happiness, but they had the money, but money couldn't provide the happiness. So if we go for collective happiness will make us have the capacity to live for others, realizing that we are focusing on enduring happiness, not on the mood power of happiness we're talking about, but on enduring happiness that can affect other people, even if I am not around, or even if I no longer live, because the person who is a billionaire, if you've gone through, if any of us we used to it, what we call trust beneficiary, and it's called trust law. If you go around equity and trust law, if you go around that thing they call trust and equity and fiduciary, and who is the trustee, who is the beneficiary, that's a very, very interesting aspect of law that somebody can learn. Because if you see how things, sometimes even the person who have the trust can decide to give the trust to another person, not even the children. Some of them do get some kids. They do have kids that they haven't parented. Normally, when they adopt those kids, they give them part of their wealth because they have created wealth that impacts people. So it's important for us to live for others, and when we're living for others in our good conscience, borrowing from the word of Solomon, who says that whoever loves money never has enough, we can also reach out to use this money we have in buying some things, for example, the JAM form, the WAEC form, the hospital bills, in whichever capacity we can do, or helping others. It mustn't necessarily be JAM form or WAEC form. We can do it in a form of helping people like the motherless babies. We can also reach out to them in form of charity, because we still need some form of money to help them. But we don't want to be living in such a way that artificial money will be controlling us, in the sense that I want to be known, I want to be seen as the richest. But unfortunately, Elon Musk is the richest doesn't mean that. I just want to educate guys, educate some minds watching us, that Elon Musk is the richest man doesn't mean that he has cash, physical cash, as the richest. He's got investment, but people don't even know. People normally think that the person has cash in the bank. No, that's not the way it works. He might even have $500, as cash, but the other investment makes him worth the money people are talking about. So, on the one hand, living for others does bring happiness. Because when you live for others, when you use what you have, when you think about sustainability, happiness in terms of state, that sometime in this life, I am going to leave everything I have in the life, and I'm no longer going to be here. What happens if the people living after me remembers me for what I've done, remembers me for the infrastructure, remembers me for the good leadership, and then if they don't remember you, even if there are money everywhere, it doesn't impact nobody, then it means that that money doesn't bring happiness. And in so many examples, so many contexts, people begin to have problem with the ones that we have been fighting based on artificial money. So if you live for others, and on the other hand, if you live for others and it doesn't bring you happiness, you can think twice. You can think about your own life, analyze your own life, analyze the way you make money. You don't necessarily have to dent your image or get into anything, occultism or anything in order to get money. It's quite easy to make money if you know how to make money. So I don't need to live a bad life because I want to make money to satisfy others. You are not satisfying them. You are also destroying yourself. So if you satisfy people with what is clean, you get a very, very good reward, whether here or elsewhere. So I want to stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mike, you said that happiness is a state. And then I know that there are some things that are called happy, happier, happiest in the English dictionary. And that brings into context now comparisons. And then when you bring in comparisons, you are talking about competition somewhat. Can this state affect our state of happiness? Probably you see somebody who is who you feel is happier than you are, and you want to match that energy. Does that sustain that state you talked about? Hello, Mike.
I don't know if Mike. We cannot see him. Maybe
Okay.
probably he's gone to somewhere.
I'm here. No, I'm
Okay.
here. Sorry.
Okay.
I had myself on mute by accident. Not by accident, but I put myself on mute because I didn't want background
Okay.
noise. But yeah, so you
I said,
no, I heard what you said. I heard what you said. But
okay.
it's just that as you said the word competition, and competitiveness, then right away you are starting to step into a realm right away that is not um compatible, or is literally going to start to diminish or and attack this state of happiness. Because yes, competition to some degree is natural, and it creates, as they say, iron sharpens iron,
Yeah.
so if we are both working hard towards a goal, and we decide to sort of put a wager on it, or just kind of like flex on each other a little bit, it's okay. I mean, it's all in good fun. But you know when you things that start in fun can end in tears, as we tell our kids when they're having a whale of a time. We say, listen, just control it, otherwise you can end in tears. Because this happy, it's interesting when I never heard a question like that before. We look at happy, happier, happiest. But there is I think what Chidoze was speaking towards was that this whole state of generosity, okay? Now it doesn't, and that's why the money aspect is not necessarily the important aspect. What aspect is having a nature, or cultivation and nature of generosity. So if I have whatever I have, if I'm sharing my wealth, whatever that wealth is, whether that wealth is time, whether it is something material like actual cash, or whether it is food, whether it is love, whatever it is, if you have this generous disposition, you can only give what you can give. And this whole aspect of happy, happier, and happiest is you know it's interesting because yes, if I could help um 10 people to get their education because they had nothing, that would make me happy. And I could say it would make me happier if I could help 20 and not 10. But at the same time, really, um the willingness to give, the willingness to be the generosity of nature to offer and to give back is not really a matter of competing against others. It's really a matter of that generosity, that love in your heart that makes you feel like you want to find that happiness, that people that find that happiness by sharing. And there are people who are naturally more charitable than others. They actually get that buzz, or um that dopamine, that hit, that feeling of connection by giving, and there are others who are more, they achieve their balance and their harmony with the world in a more subtle way, that is not as obvious. It may be just showing that love and generosity towards their child, or towards their mother, or towards but the happiness, you will always find a level of happiness from generosity, from being, first of all, in a state of some sort of plenty, because that you have enough that you want to share, or you have enough that you want to give back, or you're in a state where you realize that even if all you can give is time, or even all you can give is an example to somebody else to lead them towards their happiness or leading them towards finding their uh their place in the world, that can bring happiness. So yeah, it's an interesting question about the happier, happiest, but yes, it's not something that it's not something that will alter the natural state of happiness. That state that you're in, y- you can, yes, you can rise higher and higher, but it's not a competitive type of rise. It's more just more encompassing, maybe, or more or deeper rather than higher. But anyway, I'm not sure if I answered the question as
Yeah,
you put it, but yeah, I think hopefully you get my meaning.
yeah. Thank you very much, Mike.
Yes, man.
Mr. Nadi, there's a question for you by Azwan Oka. Said, where do we draw the line between enough money for comfort and chasing money at the cost of peace of mind? Can you dissect that question for us, please?
Yeah, Mr. T. I think it still boils down to what we're just saying is, in my personal view, is it boils down to your human agency, what choices you're making in life. Like our brother Chedozie have just mentioned, you know, seeking your daily income, like having a good house where you live, having a car, or looking after your family, it's not a problem. That's not a problem. What we're talking about is that somebody can own the whole world and still be homeless inside. You own everything, but you're still homeless. Sorry. This is where it becomes what do I call it? Unacceptable, or even it goes overboard. And this, all of these things are part of a build-up of that your human agency, how you are literally calibrated, how this, because there's something that can be referred to, which is the alternative of your agency, which is a structural system where, like the one we have, sorry, like the one we have back home, where the culture, the religion, the system around you, the peer groups and all of that, some sort of try to define the way we make our choices. In my personal view, um, I don't really think that having an empty pocket is what makes you be in lack. What I think is what makes you in lack is actually having an empty head, because you can have millions and billions of money in your pocket and you're still poor. You don't have the money because of the way you are calibrated. And I give you instances. There was a conversation I was having with somebody at one point, and the guy, an Igbo man to be precise. I want to be direct to this so that our brother Azwanuka will get my point. And we're having a conversation, and it was about money. And somebody was being questioned if I was going to give you 100 billion. It was just a metaphorical, figurative kind of conversation. Anyway, it's not really literal. If I give you 20 billion and require you to just be quiet and don't let anybody know, your neighbor should not even know that you have this money, would you be happy with that? He said, how will you give me 20 million? The money is no longer important. If you give me 20 billion and I'm not able to, front this money in my neighborhood or show off or organize a big burial and big party so people will actually know that I have accumulated money, then the money is worthless. So for this man in question, this man may own the whole world and still be homeless, because the way he's calibrated about the idea of money, the way he's calibrated, the way he sees money is not actually the functions of money. Money is meant to be to take care of our basic needs, like look after your family, look after your home, look after. Once that money is not deemed for that purpose, then you are starting becoming poor, and it's part of this the concept that I've just mentioned about that study that mentioned that once you got to that threshold of 75,000, if you're earning, the more money you are earning is no longer relevant to your happiness, because it now becomes, you are now overreaching, what's the right word, to you're overlapping the main concept of you having that money, which is look after your family, look after your loved ones, look after your immediate, look after people around you. And it boils down to what our brother Chidozie have just said about we being able to, when you have enough, you being able to see somebody in your village that has no food, because you have already taken care of yourself. You have already looked after your family. You have had enough for you to be alive. Then you'll be able to make that extension. But it's all about the way this man thinks, the way he feels, what he thinks that this money is for. If he thinks this money is to be stored in a bank in Switzerland, or in a bank in Oka or Nisha, then without even understanding the build of the concept, the reason why you should have this money. And it's to relate back to what we're discussing, it's related to, this is where even analysis or question about how that your money reflects to your emotional being, how that your money reflects your way you see things, your happiness. Because actually, if however you want to refer it, what brings your happiness is actually the way you analyze things, the way you evaluate things around you. Because things can be as beautiful as everything, and from your inner cycle, you may be looking at it, and those things may be negative. It all depends on the way you, as yourself, interpret things that you're seeing. So happy for you, for you. Just to answer, finish what I was answering about what our brother is saying. To make money is not the problem. To have money is not the problem. The problem is when it's limitless. Like your quest for money is boundless. You can literally do anything, and at that point, that money is no longer being directed to its best use. Rather, it's just sorry. I'll let somebody else. I don't know if
Thank you.
I can comment. I can comment a little bit.
Chidozie, I have a question for you, but there's a second question from Azwanuka, and he said it's for me. And he said, if money disappeared tomorrow, what part of your life will still make you feel rich? Like it's rightly been pointed out, it's been rightly pointed out here that money is just a means of exchange.
Yeah.
Money is a means of exchange. It's value. It carries value. What we value for what we value in return.
Yeah.
So the feeling of somebody left. Hello?
No, I'm here.
Somebody left. Hello, Mike. Are you there?
It's okay.
So,
we're rounding off.
I wanted to address what it was, the question he talked about, if money disappeared.
Yes, bro.
Tomorrow.
I'm here, man.
Okay.
I think Sam,
Maybe it's Sam who
Sam,
left.
Sam, yeah, Sam
Yeah.
disappeared from the screen. Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, but he probably come
Okay.
back anyway. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
I hope so. So he was talking about if money disappeared tomorrow, what part of my life? You know, it's not really about money. The piece of paper we talk about, it's about the value that that piece of paper carries. You
Yeah.
know, the value could be the services you give in exchange for whatever you're taking in return. You know, and as you what you value is what you give,
Yeah.
and that is what makes you feel rich or
Yeah.
poor or whatever, in whatever context you want to see. When you give
Yeah.
of yourself, and then there's this positive feeling that you have in giving of yourself. There's
Yeah.
this positive accomplishment that comes with giving of yourself.
Yeah.
The advice you give here and there, the hand you lend here and there, those are the things that make you feel rich, not necessarily the cage of money you have.
Yeah.
It's just about the part of you you're given in exchange for whatever you are getting in return. And most times it's not even when you feel rich, it's not as compared in terms of dollars and pounds. It is that those things you are given that you are not expecting something in return. Those are the things that make you feel rich.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I don't know, Azanoka, if that has done justice to your question.
I can
But I feel that
also add. I can also add one line.
if money goes tomorrow,
Yeah.
if money goes tomorrow, it is not
Yeah.
about not having money. There were exchanges taking place
Sure.
before money came,
Sure.
and those exchanges will still continue. And how you give of yourself, how you touch the next person is actually what makes you feel rich, and not necessarily money.
Yeah. We
So
can sum it up. We can sum it up in one word: legacy. You understand?
yeah,
We
yeah,
can just sum it up in legacy. The kind of legacy we leave, we still mean that if money disappears tomorrow, it comes back to the collective money I was talking about. Even if you were part of the people that made the collective money that is influencing the society positively, the collective money can never leave you. And then the legacy you leave will also be not only making you feel rich, but also will coming back to you as a return, as a positive return to you that you will always never observe or notice anything about not being rich or being rich. You will be happy because the pursuit of money should be for us to live well, not it can never, this pursuit of money can never replace living a meaningful life. Living a meaningful life is different from living well, because if you look at the first question he was asking, is about shifting paradigms. Do we let this paradigm shift to the extent that we are being enslaved by money, or we are money has shifted from solving our problems to dominating our lives? That's where the chasing of money at the cost of peace of mind can cost us a lot, because people can indulge or begin to get involved in harmful means of getting money. People can begin to get involved in a lot of different ways of making money that will minimize their chances of being happy. In that sense, I can relate to what I was writing here when our brother was saying. Well, the main thing he was saying, he just said somebody can still own the whole world and still become homeless, because you were focusing on that artificial money that has never impacted anybody. So when there's a crack, then nothing will fall back on you. I think it's always nice for us to think about the kind of legacy we're leaving behind, because money and happiness, they sort of intertwined. They sort of intertwine, but they're not synonymous. Because for them to be synonymous, it can go a long way. When one of the richest, if not the richest person in the Christendom has told us that if you love money, you will never have enough. And then it means that we can look at money from the perspective of removing some barriers that can draw us back or can bring us down. But then removing that barrier doesn't mean that money is going to guarantee happiness. It cannot guarantee happiness. Otherwise, all of these billionaires in the care homes or people that are sick at the point of death, they have all the money to treat themselves, but at the end of the day, with all sorts of cancer, they will still die. So the legacy we leave behind, which is the legacy that impacts society positively, will always speak for us afterwards.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mike, we are conscious of our time now, and then we already gone over the 1 hour mark. Can you give us your final on this topic, please?
Yeah, sure, brothers. Welcome back, Sam.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Everybody.
Yeah.
But I think, so much has come up on this topic. And so again, I start in one position and I always grow, and it's always amazing to hear the different aspects of how people think. Because I was even walking in the park with my girlfriend and she made a comment about her mom who's passing. And she made a comment, and the way I interpreted her comment, I thought she was talking about the way she said it. I interpreted it one way, and she didn't even think of it that way. She was interpreting it in another way. So there's always so much to learn. It was really interesting when we think about the situation in, as you say, in our country, in Nigeria and different places like that. It's really interesting about how are we taught about money. So we can be taught about we can be taught about our relationship with money can make us slaves to money, or not understand what money means, not understand what riches mean, not understand what wealth means, not understand what community means. And you create a sort of a selfishness and a competitiveness, not just a competitiveness, but a selfishness where is gimme, gimme, gimme for me, and so that I can be on top of you and better than you, and all this kind of behavior. But where we're understanding that the money and the wealth and the riches is for the entire community, is for the entire country, which you are a part of. It's not to say that everybody else is going to prosper and not you. But I think the way that the relationship with money is what is the crucial point towards whether you will achieve happiness or will you become a tyrant, or whether you become live and die as a slave to this thing. Because as the gentleman here correctly said, when you are in a care home later in your life, as I said to my girlfriend today, we were walking in the park about money because I was discussing the whole thing. If you lost the use of your spine, I don't care how much money you have, you're not going to be happy. You know what I mean? So happiness is something that is a learnt behavior that comes from being in an environment that is wholesome and that understands that the community is and that you live in is that we are in this community together, and we grow together in this community. And if you get this sort of selfish relationship with money, you will never ever achieve happiness. I don't care, as you said, if you're a multi-billionaire. And so it is a relationship with money that will help to you know spread that happiness, towards the community, towards your family, friends, towards, that have that generous level of that generosity and happiness. And if you have the wrong relationship with money, you will be a slave to it. You'll be a slave to greediness, selfishness, fear, anxiety, and constant dissatisfaction. So for sure, with your right relationship with money, it can spread the happiness. It can't give you necessarily happiness, because that happiness is something is a practice that's engendered through the company you keep, not just external company, but the company you keep within your own self as well. How you understand yourself, how you understand others, how you understand life. And yeah, so yeah, and that's what, for me, that's what really came out from listening to everybody and going on my journey in this fundamental and really important topic. So guys, thanks again for your wisdom,
Thank you.
Asando, you know what I mean?
Thank
Our
you, Mike.
leader. We
Thank
appreciate
you,
that,
Mike.
brother. Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah,
Mike.
yeah. Cool.
Sam, can you give us your parting shot?
Well, I was gonna thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mike. you, Oman Bersalan, and thank our audience. I wouldn't even refer anybody as an audience. I think this is more of a community where we just sit and talk our rubbish. But just to round up what I've said, for me, happiness is not a station. It's not literally a station. It's the manner how you travel, the way you travel. So it's all about how the situations around you, how you are able to manage the situation around you against the reality or what you are expecting. Don't expect more than your situation. Don't expect if it comes to relationship, if it comes to your work, if it comes to whatever activities or endeavor of your life, don't expect more than the situation. If you don't have enough experience, don't expect to be the manager of a company. If you're not well trained, don't expect to win the championship. Just live within your means, and this is where that paradox of choice kicks in. For you to be able to define this choice, and one thing I will say before I round up, I was it doesn't actually matter the stage or the frequency of your own situation, because somebody can be very rich but still not attain this concept that the contentment of where you are is what is more important than the position you are actually. Being contented with your own situation, just like I mentioned before, like somebody can be very, very wealthy and you can have all the money in the world, you can even own the entire world, and still be homeless. So it doesn't actually speak to only what you've acquired, but your mentality towards those things. It doesn't matter how much cars you have or how much buildings you have. It's your mentality towards those things. It doesn't actually matter how much you have in your pocket. If you don't even have nothing in your pocket, I read about, sorry to drag a little bit, I read about the story in the what do you call it, Holocaust camp in Germany. One story about a man, how he actually survived the agonies in that camp, how his positive psychology was able to help him through the sufferings. And the majority of those people who are not psychologically positive ended up dying, or ended up being things happen to them. So it's all about being able to have your body budget, being able to see your situation and define that situation and accept that situation the way it is. Accept whether you're rich. Accept what, sorry, Mr. T. Accept if you have nothing in your pocket. Accept that you don't have anything in your pocket. Find a means, because that is the only positive way you can be able to find a way to, add money to the pocket. But expecting more than your situation is actually the opposite of what makes people unhappy. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think I've.
Thank you very much,
Can I
Mr.
just
Nadi.
can I just say one statement? Just one statement.
Just round
No,
off, Chidozie.
I'm not rounding up, but I'm just going to make one statement. That's my rounding off today, because I've already rounded off.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I do understand what my brother said, but we're not saying rubbish here. What we're saying is making impact in people's life all over the world. But we may not know how this thing travels. Just like you said, it's traveling and it's making impact in people's life. I just want to say.
Okay. Sorry, it was just it's not. It wasn't literal. It wasn't literal, anyways.
I understand the metaphorical side of it. I just want to say that money nurtures, but greed destroys. Let me leave it that way.
Thank you very
Well done.
much.
Thank you.
Edozie.
Mm.
Hello, guys. Just a quick one, and then we want to appreciate all those who have been here with us, more especially those who kept watching and chiming in with their contributions. Azwanoka really took us to the deep with his questions, and everybody was involved. Kingsley Eze too, and all those who kept watching. We want to appreciate you. And as Zanoka said, it is important that we feel rich in the purpose we live for, the values we hold, and the peace we find within ourselves. A very, very touchy one. And then I want to really appreciate you. You've always kept the embers of the flame, flaming. Thank you very, very much. And I want to, quickly, what I distilled from this discussion is that it is the relationship that we have with money that determines our happiness, not actually whether you have much or you do not have much. It is the relationship that you have with it that determines our happiness. And then happiness is determined by how we move on our life journey, the choices we make. You may have a whole lot of, you may own the world and still be an outsider. Then money nurtures, but greed destroys. These are some of the things that I distilled from this our discussion, and I hope those who are watching us also may have made their own deductions about this interactive solution. It's where we come to learn, in as much as we are here, as those who are talking. I am learning. I am becoming better every day we come here, and I believe the same also is true with those who are watching us. We come here every Sunday and we try to, remove the cobwebs and the confusion that surrounds some topics, the myth, and we try to remove the myth and expose whatever it is that are the bare bones of the topic. I want to really salute your sagacity, your brain power. These guys who have always taken it upon themselves, to stretch the bounds of knowledge. Thank you very much. I am beholden to you guys. We continue to do this as much as the breath is in us. And I know that those who are watching us will be better off for it. I am better off for it every Sunday we come here to talk our talk. Thank you very much. I've learned so much from this, from our discussions, and I will want to keep it going. And I believe that the same is the energy that you guys are bringing here every Sunday. Having said that, I want to salute you and I want to thank you very much. And to the golden guy who is having his birthday today, we pray that he'll continue to grow in strength, and then he will be a better version of his father. Yeah. And Mrs. Nnadi, from all of us here, we wish you the best. That you continue to excel in all that you do. Mike has gone for a vacation and came back, and I know that he's filled with renewed vigor and energy. Mike, it's good having you back.
Yeah,
and
I
to the rest of
miss
the
you guys.
family,
And the thing about it is, even with the birthdays and stuff like that is because we are not even the fact that you guys mentioned the birthdays is important, because then it brings that into the conversation, right? It brings that energy into the room too. So it's beautiful that you can feel that you can share that. So yeah, all the very best, guys. And I'm happy to be back, man.
Yeah, it's good to have us back. And then I wish all of us the best of the weekend and this evening. And within the week, we recharge and still come back on Sunday to do what we do here. And I believe that as we continue here, people will still feel touched in whatever areas that our discussions head to. Thank you very much, guys.
Brothers.
Thank you.
Have a good week, guys.
More energy.
Okay.
Take care.
Yeah, have a wonderful evening. Yeah.
Okay,
Bye.
bye, guys. All right. See you later.